Since it's 2025, we can't go with a video without talking about AI. It has to be said. It is what all the kids are talking about these days. And there's really not a lot, unfortunately, of oxygen given to large enterprises. What should they be doing? How should they be positioning themselves for success, not just for their own use cases, but to make sure that they're not outpaced by their competitors? Where most people end up, it's usually one of two spectrums. One is that they use public cloud offerings, such as the cloud-hosted instance of ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or any number of those. And that's good, I would say, for certain use cases. If you have data that can go in there that it's not really intellectual property, it's not super confidential, if you just want to use it as sort of a co-pilot and you're okay with the risk of it being trained on that information, then you might go down that route. But as you can tell from my tone of voice, most people opt towards the other route, which is where they have their own instance, their own private, dedicated resources for these large language models. There's a ton of benefit that we've seen companies experience when they have their own LLMs that are completely private. Security is at the forefront of almost every large enterprise, actually every large enterprise that we work with. And having your own instances allows you to control the entire security perimeter. It makes sure that you know what's going in, and you make sure that you know that nothing can go back out. It helps with performance, because if these services get bogged down on one of the public offerings, yours isn't affected because you own the infrastructure. And third, you own what those models can actually do in terms of the data that you give it. You want to make sure that if you want to run analysis or some sort of synthetic augmentation of what's in your data, that your company's intellectual property, the thing that is confidential, that is critical to your business's lifeblood, can't just be disseminated out into the public internet, and it can't be trained on future versions of models. The enterprise agreements that you sign with these cloud providers allow you to make sure that your data stays your data. And there's a lot of options that people have, not just for which LLM they're using, but also their front end, because people invariably are going to want to use these tools for their job purposes. You could go the Microsoft Office Copilot route, which is where everything is sort of embedded into the tools. Where we've seen most companies land is they usually have their own sort of ChatGPT-like interface. They want something that is user-friendly, that is internal, and once they block a lot of these public cloud offerings, that it gets redirected towards their own instances, that they can control who has access to it, the auditing around it, and the security around it. If you're interested, this is something that we ourselves have been exploring. It's something that we use internally, and it is something that we've found very beneficial, and it accepts the reality that AI is here to stay, and those that are able to use it effectively are the ones that are going to be here in 2035, starting in 2025.